What was it like in your actual family? What type of family do you come from? What do you remember?
Books.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my mum was a teacher. She retired only about 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And she's the one who taught me English and speech and drama in high school. So I owe her a lot, a lot more than I suppose a person would owe their mom.
You got into community theatre. At what age was this?
Community theatre was just once I had completed high school. So I had come through high school with speech and drama as a matric subject. And I knew that with my limited exposure to theatre, this was something that I really, really wanted to be in. There was nothing more energizing than being up on stage and working and acting your heart out, and you are in an absolute sweat, and you come off that stage and you know that you've given it your best and that the crowd appreciated every moment.
And you decided to go study law. Why?
Back then, you had to look at what were the industries that were turning out professionals. And certainly, even amongst the actors who were popular at the time, who were productive and industrious and doing a lot of work, they were not Indian people. I was very fortunate that I was able to maintain an element of performance even while I was at university studying law, which seemed like the responsible thing to do, and I'm glad I did. And from my years at university studying law to go into law enforcement once I had finished university.
Instead of choosing to be a lawyer or a high-flying lawyer, you choose to be a policeman.
I had done my undergraduate law degree and I didn't have the money to go into a postgraduate law degree. So I could never afford to take it that far anyway. The big question in my own mind is, had I the money, would I have then gone into the LLB and beyond? And I'm glad, in a sense, that I never really had to answer that question, because when I went into law enforcement in 1994, that is when I learned about myself and my place in this country. That's when I started to really understand what it means, what the social compact means. And people often use that as a socio-political phrase, the social compact, that is the agreement between a nation and the government it elects to regulate how this nation works together. This was now our attempt to say, we work for you. We are public servants.
And changing the narrative of law.
Correct, that's what it was. And so I was still very young then, but it was very apparent to me that we needed to develop trust. That's what we didn't have. As a young man looking at the police itself, I didn't trust the police. And now I am a policeman, and I'm asking myself, do people trust me? That was a difficult question to answer.
And you get to be told about the casting for Isiting.
Yes.
Who told you about this casting?
It wouldn't surprise you, my mom. Yeah, there was an advert put into the Daily News or the Mercury or something, one of the popular titles.
That used to be the form of medium.
That's right. People used to read the newspaper. And it was a physical newspaper. You'd have to turn the pages.
Yes, absolutely.
My mum saw this advert in the newspaper and said, there's this show in Johannesburg and they're looking for Indian actors.
Oh, you're in Durban at the time?
I'm still in Durban, yeah. And that was quite an unusual thing. So now there's this opportunity, and obviously the state broadcaster, the SABC, has a mandate to speak to its audience. Its audience now...
In a holistic manner.
That's right. We are a new South Africa now. Now everybody's story is valid.
Isiting was your first TV role, your first big TV role, right?
It was the first big TV role. I had done some TV before that. My very first TV role was in a drama series called 37 Honey Street with the late Menzin Gubani.
I remember it.
And I was playing the role of a cop.
What are the odds?
Exactly. And it was a taste of something that I knew is in every fiber of my being. This is me. And this is what I wanted to commit the rest of my life to.
When did you realize that you were not happy with the state of affairs for actors in South Africa?
I was still very much in work. I was fine. But what I started to see were a number of the older actors who are now getting less and less work. And some of them, there's one of the veterans, somebody who was on the very first set, who was on the principal cast of The Villagers, Gray Hoffmeyer's first big TV series that made him so famous, the actor called Dale Cutts. And he appeared on Isidingo, and I was absolutely in awe of this man. I thought, I was in primary school when I first saw you. And here I am in a production where I am now being treated as this famous, personality. And the man in front of me, who is in a wheelchair, having suffered a stroke, who has been brought on to perform. And if he doesn't perform, this man is not going to eat. And I could not believe, and I could not accept that that's what it means in the freelance world, that we have not prepared anything for any kind of social net, any kind of welfare, any social security for the freelance performers who are no longer getting work.
What motivated you to lead from the front of SAGA?
It was the elective assembly almost of what became the South African Guild of Actors. It was just a group of people at that time who were concerned about the same things. We hadn't even decided on a name or a constitution or anything like that. But for some reason, people felt that they found in me a trustable voice, a voice that would fairly represent their concerns. And I put myself in that position. I made a promise. And I said, I am here to serve you.
Would you then say you found a specific way of utilizing your background as a lawyer to put it to good use?
Well, yeah, you could say that. Although I can never claim to be a lawyer, I know how
the
legal fraternity work and how they think and how they conduct themselves. And that's very important in order to build confidence in people and in order to attract membership. Because when it comes to membership, an organization with a bigger membership will naturally have a bigger, stronger voice.
Is there anything that is, or any future plans that you have that are selfish for Jack?
For now, my focus is on activism. My focus is on effecting the changes that we need in our industry to make it more equitable, to address the injustice, to address the imbalance, and to let people know that we as front of screen performers must never be taken for granted for the work that we do.
What would you like to say to your mom, the drama teacher?
Yeah, I think I would say this is more than either one of us could have ever imagined for me. And I only want to do right by what she's done, her sacrifice, her commitment, her unfailing love that only a mom can have for her son. It's to say, I'm beyond grateful. I'm beyond grateful. And the more I do is the way in which I revere her.